Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Witch on the Holy Night. So last time, Alko was giving lessons to Sojiro about the mage world, and it was pretty nice though, but Alice, she doesn't agree with what the predicament they are in right now, with Sojiro living with them for a couple months, right? She doesn't still agree with that. So let us continue and let's see what happens today. I think the lectures are not yet over. So maybe we'll see more. Yeah, she doesn't agree with all this. Alko teaching Sojiro stuff. Like, for her, yeah, she doesn't really want it. Her frigid departure seemed to forebode the many difficulties that lay ahead. Alko leaned back on the sofa while hurling abusive epithets. Her face looked even more irritated than usual.
見逃すのとここに住まわせるのは別問題よって。じゃあそれ以外にどんな方法があるってのよ。譲る気もなさそうだし、この分じゃ実力行使に出るかもね、あの子。
Sojiro threw a wary glance at Alko while she grumbled. He wondered what Alice's show of defiance meant, shattering the glass bottle like she did.
宗十郎には記憶をなくしてもらうってことで話はつけたけど、心の底から納得してないってことでしょ。アリスにしちゃ珍しく他人を意識してたけど、やっぱりここに住まわせるとなると難しいみたい。寝てる分には良かったけど、起きてるあんたを見たらこう、えも言わぬ刺激心を刺激されたとかさ。
Then let him sleep for a couple months then. Do some magic stuff.
気をつけてね、宗十郎。あの子、あんたを殺しに来るかもしれないから。
Damn, imagine that, right? How can you even sleep in this mansion? If maybe Alice would come for you. If anything, Alko's warning was an indication that persuading Alice had hit a dead end.
なんか状況はあの夜からあまり変わってないようだね、青崎。
She shot him an unconcerned look in reply.
そうじゃないぞ。青崎の次はあの子がやる気満々じゃないか。さっきみたいな目にあったら逃げることもできない。こういうの生殺しって言うんじゃないか。
そうならないように努力するのね。アリスの理由は遊園地の時ほど切迫したものじゃないから、そのうち諦めてくれるとは思うんだけど。
青崎の時とは違うアリスの理由？
ええ。遊園地の時は秘密厳守のためだったけど、それは一応解決してる。あんたが底抜けに律儀なやつだってのはアリスだってもう分かってるし。なんで秘密厳守云々であそこまで反対する理由はないの。あの子は単にね、ここに住んでほしくないだけなのよ。それだけでアリスはあんたを殺したがってる。
She said so matter-of-factly, her eyes cold and serious. Sojiro had hoped for a trace of deceit or exaggeration, but alas.
確かにあの子はそんな素振りだったけど。変だね。それならもっと他の手段を取ればいいのに。
Perhaps feeling guilty about putting Alice out, Sojiro looked uncharacteristically concerned. Alko immediately knew what his words really meant.
例えば、記憶を消す魔術が見つかるまで、さっきの小瓶の中に閉じ込めておくとか？
The apathy in her voice until now was gone. Sojiro answered with a simple nod. In truth, it was undoubtedly the easiest solution for all parties concerned. However,
宗十郎、私、約束は破らないの。覚えておいて。
she hated taking the easy way out, and that quiet fury was clear in her soft words. As for where that fury was directed, Sojiro was acutely aware. The pain in his chest made him regret making her say those words.
すまない。考えが足りなかった。
His sudden apology caused her usual sullen expression to return. Aoko had not appreciated how angry she was, let alone the reason for it. To her, his apology had come out of nowhere.
あんたって、ほんとわかんないわね。
She stared at Sojiro, unblinking.
あれ？そうだな。自分でもよくわからない。多分、そういう気分になったからだろう。
Even in saying he was not sure, Sojiro had answered honestly. Aoko was at a loss for words.
ただ、青崎の言いたいことは分かった。約束を守るっていうことは、結果じゃなく、家庭を守るってことなんだな。
He shot her a brazenly honest smile. That smiling face, filled with blissful ignorance, almost made her smile back instinctively.
当たり前じゃない。オチだけ合ってればいいなんて恥ずかしくてできないでしょ。
Aoko attempted to cover for her embarrassment with a quick retort. Though unintentional, having her true feelings exposed like that made Aoko a little uncomfortable. Finding offense in something was second nature to Aoko. Being made to feel uncomfortable was not. Though far from being unhappy at the remark, she turned away from its speaker. To disguise her perceived shame, Aoko started up the conversation again.
あなたを見逃すって言うなら、気持ちの問題じゃなくて、ちゃんと状況もそうなるようにするのは当たり前なの。宗十郎をここに住まわせることが、あの約束を守ることになるんなら、厄介なアリスだって言い伏せるわよ。脅かすだけならまだしも、ずっと瓶漬けなんてさせられるわけないでしょ。
そっか。青崎があの子を説得しない素振りなのは、もうできるだけの説得をした後だからなのか。あ、それで彼女とは冷戦中なんだ。
別にあんたのためじゃないわ。私は私のために約束を守ってるだけだし。お察しの通り、私のやるべきことはもう終わってるし、あとはそっちが努力する番だから勝手にすれば。
He replied, tilting his head.
あのね、いい？同居案を何とか認めさせることができるのは私だけだから、2日間ぶっ通しでアリスを言い伏せもした。けどそれ以上は無理。私、ここから先はノータッチだから。しばらくはアリスから守ってあげるけど、その間にあの子にあんたを認めさせることは、あんたにしかできないんだからね、宗十郎。
なんと
Sojiro had not expected that at all. Alice Kuonji, the girl in the black who kept everyone at arm's length. If Aoko was a modern mage in hiding, then Alice was a bona fide witch from the Middle Ages.
青崎、君、自分がどれだけ難しいことを言ってるか分かってるか？
そうね。私もこの件に関してだけは同情するわ。
Aoko stood up from the sofa. This was the end of the discussion, at least for now.
私たちがどんな人間かはおおよそ分かったでしょ。魔術に関してはこれ以上立ち入らない方があんたのためだから、説明はここまでね。で、肝心の今後の方針だけど、3ヶ月間ここで暮らす。
Okay, long and short of is, you're gonna be staying for 3 months.
当初の目標というより最初の試練は、なんとかアリスに同居人として認めてもらうこと。
And basically, you need to make Alice like you.
試練って言った。今そういう類のことを言った。
I mean, it's kind of like a trial though, right? Like it's gonna be very hard to do that.
ごまかしてもいいことないでしょ、この手のことは。うまくいかなきゃ粉々なわけだし。
So what can Sojiro do, by the way? Honestly, I don't know. Unless, for example, they fought someone or yeah, if some problems arise again, and then maybe Sojiro saves Alice, and then maybe Alice would make, yeah, her mind will be a little bit different after that. But until then, yeah, I doubt Alice is just gonna accept him because he's gonna, yeah, he's just gonna try. But I don't think Alice is gonna be that easy. I mean, with her cold-blooded remark, Ako started walking toward the door.
あ、そうそう。宗十郎の部屋だけど、3階に用意しといたから。2階のホールの裏側に階段があるから使って。ここは寮ってわけでもないし、時間は自由に使いなさい。ただし、西館にだけは入らないようにね。東館は私が借りてるから比較的安全だけど、それでも歩き回らない方が無難だわ。
But whatever you do, do not go into the west wing. I rent the east wing, so it should be relatively safe in comparison. So I guess Alice is in the west side, but still, it's generally safer to not wander around.
基本安全なのはあんたの部屋とここだけよ。
中の説明ってまさかそれだけ？青崎はいろいろおかしい。魔術なんかよりもっと大事な説明があると思う。
He desperately called out to her as she began to leave the drawing room. Aoko could not help but helped by pity Sojiro.
せめてほら、案内とか。
面倒なんでパス。おのぼりさんを案内するなんて2回もやれば十分よ。
Yeah, because she already toured Sojiro around the school, right? She's not gonna do that here.
起きたばっかりだし、とりあえず今日は部屋で休んだら。朝になったら学校まで案内してあげるから。もっとも、私もそう暇じゃなし。そばについてあげられるのは、期末試験が終わるまでってことで。1週間以内にアリスと仲良くなるなり、弱みを握るなりしないと、まあ、あれよね。
With barely a wave of goodbye, the student council tyrant walked out. He unconsciously clenched the hand he had raised. Left all alone, he was at a complete loss. Then, as if to encourage him, oh, the blue bird. Look at that. With the sound of a lightly fluttering wings, a blue robin appeared out of nowhere. The tiny chubby bird innocently looked Sojiro up and down. The blue robin, a bird said to bring happiness according to folklore, flapped its little wings as if to cheer him on. Then with a flutter, it mercilessly flicked off the lights. It's playing with him. Alice sent that. Turn off the lights. Electricity is expensive. Leaving Sojiro alone in the drawing room, Ako returned to her bedroom. She closed the door to her room, and as soon as she sat on her bed, she was overcome by an unexpected wave of exhaustion. Sojiro had no way of knowing, but she had been preparing for war. What? In the event that Alice impulsively pulled out a ploy, Ako had to be ready to react in an instant. I guess, okay. So for her, she's being ready in case something happens again, and then she has to fight Alice. She sighed heavily. So for her, it's not easy as well, because yes, she needs to protect Sojiro in case Alice does something, but not from the fatigue she felt at fighting with Alice.
ちょっと突っぱねすぎたか?
She frowned a dejected frown. What weighed on Aoko's mind was not Alice.
でも甘くするのはあいつのためにならないし。基本おとなしくしてもらった方がいいわけだし。
It would be trouble if he wandered around like he owned the place after all. The safest thing for him would be if he holed up in his room, too scared out of his wits to leave it.
ま、青崎は味方だなんて勘違いされても困るしね。アリス同様、人でなし扱いされた方が楽だわ。
She nodded to herself, agreeing with her take on the situation. For the most part, it was a sound plan. If there were a problem, it would be this.
すまない青崎。一つ聞きたいことがあるんだが。
Not 10 minutes had passed since leaving him in the drawing room. For Sojo to shirk off what she had said and visit her room so fast, it was like he had no sense of danger at all.
実は外に出たいんだ。
Of course, he would ask to leave the house. Alco lacked the energy for a sarcastic barb.
洋館の中は歩き回らないし、用を済ませたらきちんと戻ってくる。ただ、門限とかあったら聞いておこうと思って。
でも、アルバイトには行くのよね。
How did you know? Sojo exclaimed in surprise. When it was Alco who decided to display her shock at him.
まあいいわ。基本、午後10時まで。その時間には必ず屋敷にいること。その後は夜勤に出かけるなり、庭でバーベキューするなり、何でも好きにしていい。それと、玄関に鍵はかかってないから。
気のせいじゃなければだけど。青崎、すごく怒ってないか？
あんた相手に気を使った自分に呆れ果ててるだけよ。
Look at her face.
外に出るのはいいけど、その前にこの錠剤飲んで。
Now take this pill. Soldier took the purple pill from her outstretched hand and dubiously put it in his mouth. He didn't even ask what this pill is, he just drank it. He told himself that it must have been some kind of medicine.
それじゃあ行ってくる。いろいろありがとう、青崎。
This dude, man.
あっそ。今度は窓から出ていかないでよね。
Sojo laughed himself all the way to the foyer, unsure of what exactly he had found funny. Alco watched him go, both indifferent and amazed all at once.
ま、予定が半日早まっただけか。あの薬を飲ませるの、明日の朝にしてあげようと思ったのに。
She huffed, ruffling her hair in exasperation and returning to her room. Discerning what made Sojo tick was a waste of brain matter. In all likeliness, he was more concerned about missing 2 days of work than his own well-being after being bedridden for 2 days. I mean, yeah, you might get fired, right? With a day's work behind him, Sojo returned to the mansion.
よし。どこを探しても、2階のホールから上がれる階段はここだけだ。
He's gonna go to the side where Alice is, 100%. It was just before midnight. This was the scene that awaited him beyond the rickety staircase.
ほう。
Not much surprise, Sojiro, or rather being surprised, had become normal to him. The scene, however, was enough to leave him speechless. The room allotted to Sojiro is this, no matter how he looked at it, no matter how he ran through it in his mind, was without a shadow of doubt an attic. I mean, it definitely is an attic, though. He has a stool there. This mansion has a lot of rooms, right? An insane amount of rooms, but they gave him the attic. Come on. This treatment stirred a tinge of anxiety in him. Just as he was about to flop onto the taut sheets of his bed, wondering if he couldn't make this work despite his share of other problems, he noticed an awkward courtesy so meager as to be useless. Honestly, I would feel so bad if they let me sleep in the attic. If no one is sleeping in the other rooms, right? And they said, oh, you can go there, go sleep in the attic. I would just leave because it feels like they don't want him there. I mean, obviously they don't want him there, especially Alice. What I'm saying is, if it is the real, like in the real world, without someone getting angry at you or not.
寒かったら重ねて使うこと。これはサービスとする。
Something to use if you get cold. Consider it a gift. So towels, I guess? Not towels, blankets? The message in the memo pointed to the meticulous personality of the author. The bed had been perfectly prepared. Carefully setting aside the blanket that had been painstakingly placed on the edge of the bed for him in case he needed it, he looked up at the sky. Though faint, the stars twinkled through the skylight. For a mountain boy, that meager light was more than enough for him. The stark contrast with the drawing room had caught him off guard, but now that he had collected himself, it was not so bad. This room fit his personality. I mean, I guess it is okay for him. He cannot leave anyways, right? So, this is it. At least he's gonna stay alive. This is better than getting killed, so... Even if he was still not used to the building, he felt more at ease here than he did in any building in the city. But the thing is though, in this place, the mansion, I guess, it's very quiet here, so that's a plus. I mean, for me personally, that's a plus. If it's very quiet, the area's quiet, that's nice. Perhaps because it was built on a hill surrounded by woods. The atmosphere here was a little closer to the mountains where he used to live.
でも家の中に霧が出るのはどうなんだろう。
What, it's foggy inside his room? He crooked his neck, pondering over the spectacle he had witnessed. On the way to his room, Sojiro had encountered what looked like fog in the foyer on the second floor. Oh, wait, that ain't fog, man, that's magic. The misty fog drifted in portion of the corridor, reminding him of a swarm of mosquitoes. What is that? As he stared at it, he swore he could make out a strange landscape as he moved closer to get a better look. Again, out of nowhere, here inside of the mansion, a little blue bird darted purposely in front of him.
鳥?
The bird caught his attention, stopping him in his tracks. When he looked to check the fog again, the strange scene had disappeared. Then it's gone just like that.
隙間でもあるのかな。
He muttered to himself as he sat on the bed. Meager as it was, the starlight peeping into the skylight calmed him.
これなら。
Exhaling slowly, he lay down. For the time being, he had the essentials needed to live, and his bed was many times softer than it appeared. Thinking his worries seemed smaller than they were, he quickly drifted off to sleep. That was a story from when he opened his eyes to when he fell asleep. And just like that, the short night following the long night was over. For one thing was true. Sojiro was an optimist, so a fault, but it wasn't the end of the world. Now, let us rewind 5 hours prior to this glutton for punishment going to bed. Alice. It was 7 o'clock in the evening, just after the unproductive discussion between the two mages and the boy had ended. Leaving her roommate and the intruder in the drawing room, the girl walked alone through the foyer, leaving her roommate and the intruder. From there, she headed to the west wing. These were Alice's Koonji's personal chambers, in which even her roommate Aoko Aozaki seldom dared to step foot in. The foyer was illuminated only by the pale moonlight. Hard footsteps echoed through the dreary moonlight lobby. In such mansions in Japan, there was no custom for removing shoes at the door. Hence, Alice crossed the foyer in her boots. She only removed them when she was relaxed in her bedroom. Suddenly, she remembered something from her childhood. She used to enjoy the feeling of the cold hardwood floor on her bare feet, and would walk around the foyer on particularly sunny days. After her father affectionately scolded her for it, she never did it again.
そうだったわね。 青子は結局守らなかった。
She let out a quiet sigh. Alice's new roommate, whom she took on after coming to Japan, would not comply with her instructions.
落ち着かないものはしょうがない。
Aoko would say, changing into her slippers. Aoko might have found it natural to do so given that she lived in a typical Japanese house through middle school, but every time Alice heard her flip-flopping through the foyer, she wanted to cancel their cohabitations. By now, Alice was not particularly bothered by it anymore. Human adaptability was remarkable at times and ungracious at others. The emotional attachments of the past had proved far too brittle under the weight of reality. A little blue bird was perched on the banister. Its tiny chirping made Alice stop and look its way.
今夜は放っておくわ。今は青子の問題よ。
The lack of feeling in her voice made the bird tilt its head as it sang. Tweet, tweet, tweet. It thrilled as though questioning its master's uncharacteristic leniency.
約束は約束よ。今夜ぐらいは多めに見ないと。青子と彼はそれだけの活躍をしたのだし。
She said to the bird, her voice betraying her discontent. If you win, I'll let you go. She would keep promise in spite of the unquenchable desire to fight that burned in her chest.
でも、その後の処遇は別の話。条件付きのゲームに勝ったぐらいで、いつまでも得意げでいられるのは心外だわ。
Perhaps it was perfectionism born of fastidiousness, but despite her prim demeanor, Alice Kowanji was a sore loser. It did not matter to her whose magecraft was superior, losing the game had proven hard to move on from. The little bird fluttered its wings in agreement. Drinking in Alice's content, it was itching to dive-bomb the invader. It looked like a soldier saluting a superior officer as it preened itself. The blue bird turned to face its master. Its light-hearted tweeting seemed to display a desire to deal with Sojo first thing in the morning.
そうね。理由さえできたのなら、瓶なり本なりに入ってもらいましょう。
Except her words lacked any bite. On the face of it, they were the chilling kind one might come to expect from witch's lips, but then again, so tame as to remind you of a certain robin's flapping.
しばらくの話よ。けど、それも一時だけ。私の我慢も長くは続かないし。だいたい、青子も人にかまけていられる立場じゃないわ。いつかも
Sorry. Accidentally clicked it. When the time came, expelling him would be simple. Alice was well aware her roommate was a pragmatist with no vision. The situation she'd created would not allow her to wait around. She could only afford to protect that boy for 3 or 4 days at most. What? Beyond that, Alice sensed Aoko would crack and say something like, "You take care of this, Alice."
それまで待つか。あるいは、私の我慢が効かなくなるか。どちらにしても、結果は変わらないわ。
Alice Kowanji would suffer no more irritations. And protecting a witness, let alone allowing them to live in her mansion, was an indignity. Alice looked up, fascinated by the dense fog that had crawled into the foyer. Above the fireplace was a single mirror. Roughly 3 feet in diameter, it decorated the wall where one might find a painting. Its surface was faintly clouded and vaguely reflected the foyer's appearance.
スナークをなくした影響でしょうね。鏡の機能、しばらくは制御できないみたい。
The little bird joyfully chirped at its master's mumbling. The bird attempted to imply that there was no need for her to lift a finger, not if the nuisance would fall into the mirror of his own accord. Or perhaps, had the little bird had not sang, Alice would have come to the same conclusion. For some reason, she recalled an earlier conversation.
これでも一番無難だと思う。
In response to her question, the boy inside the bottle shrugged his shoulders and answered. From his perspective, the city and the mansion were no different. It seemed that having just moved from the countryside, everything was something he had never seen before.
自慢できることじゃないが、まだ書き物さえ満足にできないし、都会のルールは複雑すぎて、何が正しいのかさえ区別がつかない。
More than embarrassment, his voice was full of resentment. He was angry about something, though Alice could not tell what. But
だから、どこにいても危ないことに変わりはないんだ。極端な話、道を歩くだけでも、人と話すだけでも不安になる。俺は、どこでだろうとうまくやっていける保証はないんだよ。けど、ここにはそんな奴に気を使ってくれる人がいる。気遣ってくれる理由は物騒なものっぽいけど、それは本当に贅沢なことだと思うんだ。
her eyes welled up ever so slightly. Those soft words were something she could not brush off, because they made sense to her. Given that everything in the city was a danger to him, nothing had changed after coming to the mansion. In reality, he had no reason to fear this place in particular. If anything was different from the outside, it would be that someone here was his ally. With that view, he had been entirely sincere. His explanation hadn't contained any flattery towards Alice Kuonji, more pandering to Aoko Aozaki. He was simply speaking from the heart. I like it here.
今、鏡に迷い込まれるのは迷惑ね。鏡の機能は侵入者の探索に専念させたいし、彼が迷い込みそうになったら止めてあげて。
The bird shook its feathers at her strange instruction. I want to dedicate the mirror's function to searching for intruders, so if it looks like he's going to be swallowed up by it, do stop him, will you? Okay. Alice looked away from the mirror and continued her walk. The bird chirped in protest.
あなたの仕事よ、ロビン。それぐらいの役には立って。
Leaving the bird with that icy retort, she vanished into the west wing. All that remained was the moonlight. And the little blue bird trembling at a perilous prospect of unprecedented change. Oh, it's over. That episode. That was fast. I mean, not really fast, but it's fairly simple. Fairly short, yeah. Where are we? This new? Oh no, this is the one we saw. Yeah, this one. So we don't really have anything. Chapter 6. Chapter 5. Yeah, we don't really have any other stuff like this. Like for example, this one, chapter 1.5. Where are the other chapters? The in-between ones. I guess we'll check that out. I mean, not check that out. We don't have any, I mean. But yeah, I guess we're gonna continue this and do more of Witch on the Holy Night in the next one. Quite short episode today, sorry about that. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.